Okay, welcome everybody. This is the SIG Instrumentation meeting. Today is February the 20th. And I believe there is one primary agenda item that we have today, which is Piotr. Do you want to talk about this?
Yeah, sure. I sent an email yesterday to SIG Instrumentation group. I hope you had a chance to take a look and think about this. So in general, like the TLDR is, I would like to propose to replace myself as a SIG chair by Marek Sierkowicz, known as also Siratius. How to pronounce this? I have no idea. Yeah. So Marek is on VC. So if you have any questions to me, to him, this is a good time to ask.
Okay, so there's one thing you mentioned in your email that should there be any other nominations or should there be objections or anything, then people should reach out to either you or me. And as a matter of fact, someone has reached out to me and has proposed that we should also consider Han as a replacement. And so if there are folks, or if Han agrees to this and wants to be, then we are going to have to go with the process, and essentially we would need to have a vote where all SIG Instrumentation members essentially vote for the next chair role.
Yeah, I also suggested Han as a candidate for the role on the list.
Yes, so there were multiple people who expressed interest in that. Obviously, Han needs to agree to this, but I feel like I definitely also appreciate both of your work. I can't say who I would want to decide for. I think both of you have done fantastic work. I think both of you deserve it. In our current governance model, we only have one role to fill. But that said, in the same way as people have come to me with other nominations, people have also talked about changing our governance model potentially a little bit, which is SIG API Machinery, for example, has recently changed their model and they now have 2 chairs and 2 tech leads. And I feel like this could be generally an interesting model for us as well. So I think it's worth discussing maybe as we're having these personnel changes that we maybe want to adapt our governance as well.
Yeah,
so there are multiple things here. Yeah, Han, please go ahead.
Yeah, so basically we do have the chair TL distinction in API Machinery. And I think that makes sense in a lot of ways. I'm obviously happy to help in whatever way I can. Probably if we're amending the charter though, we may want to consider terms and term limits.
I don't think we need to amend the charter for this because I think we just defer to SIG governance right now, and SIG governance allows for, I don't think it's unlimited tech leads, but like I think at least 2.
Is there a revoting period?
So
I would have to
there are two different things here. So governance specifies the distinction between chair and tech lead. In our charter, we say that there's no distinction in the role. Otherwise, it's the same. So I do think we would have to amend our charter slightly, and I think Han was suggesting another edit to this, which would be that we would be introducing terms on which we re-vote for people every, I don't know, term, right? I think that's what you were saying.
Yes.
So isn't this a kind of standard across the whole community, that there is some definition of chair and there is some definition of TL tech lead position?
Depending on the SIG, the distinction is made. Like in cloud provider, they only have chairs, and the TLs and chairs share sort of the same function and duty. It's kind of similar to the way SIG instrumentation is right now. In API machinery, we have a distinction between the chair and the TL.
I think maybe our biggest challenge is filling those seats. If we make
a lot of members now, we
do have a lot of members. We would need to talk about people stepping up for those, right? I would be interested in a tech lead role, but yeah, I think if we do all of this, then we should probably do the entire process and probably vote on everyone going into these positions, assuming that there are more people than spots to fill.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that chair position is like an operational one, that someone that is like, you know, driving day-to-day work of the SIG, like reviewing PRs, reviewing issues, like triaging issues, organizing meetings, ensuring that there is agenda. Whereas a TL position, tech lead position, is more like a kind of advisor who was more interested in having, like, it was more focused on having a strategic impact, like defining long-term plans, like, you know, serving as advisor, potentially reviewing the most tough problems, and like, you know, reviewing the most tough proposals for making decisions, etc. Yes?
Yeah, I think I would agree with that distinction.
So personally, I don't mind like having, you know, chairs and tech leads. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Han, how exactly did SIG API machinery go about introducing this?
Daniel Lavalamp no longer wanted to do the operational stuff. It was a lot of work. Doing the quarterly updates.
I'm aware.
Yeah. Doing the quarterly updates or whatever, and you know, all the operational stuff was kind of a burden. So he offloaded that to our manager, Fede, who is now the chair. So he does all the operational stuff, and Daniel is now the TL.
I guess
on the Red Hat side, actually, interestingly, we have like a split structure. On the Red Hat side, David Eads is both chair and TL.
So probably it doesn't make sense to have like fill both roles, because I assume that once you are chair, like you can do also like, you know, this tech lead role. Yes.
It depends on whether or not you want to do it. Yes.
So it's a kind of, so my understanding is like a TL is a kind of, you know, lightware chair position where you are involved, but not on a daily basis.
No, I would imagine the TL is actually more involved on a daily basis with the actual projects and reviewing PRs and submitting caps, and the chair is unlikely to be submitting any caps.
Oh,
they could not be within the
That's
bounds,
also my understanding.
Yeah, it's like not within the bounds of being a chair to submit caps or review caps.
Chairs can be technically involved, but they don't have to. TLs must be.
Yes, yeah. That's the critical distinction.
I mean, it's kind of in the name, no?
You and your facts.
I guess my biggest question is, how did SIG API machinery like go about bootstrapping this?
No one had any problems with the arrangement.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, in that case.
Yeah, everyone's reasonable about it. Lavalamp didn't want to do all the stuff, and I mean, like, who wants to make them do all the stuff, you know? Like, if you don't want to do the chair stuff, then I think for sure we should just find someone else to do the chair stuff, right? Peter doesn't want to do the chair stuff, so we should find someone else to do the chair stuff.
Yeah.
One thing I pointed out in chat that folks might have not had a chance to take a look at is I don't actually think that our team YAML manifest is up to date right now. I think there are some people missing. I think that before we kick off a formal voting and governance process, we should make sure that like folks who've been contributing to the team are able to add themselves to that list.
Yes.
I think that is a fair request.
Yes.
So maybe we should consider this like a preliminary thing before a vote. Maybe we should have a vote the next time.
Yeah.
And then
Do we want to vote like through like, you know, voting during a meeting, or do we want to have a kind of secret voting?
yeah,
I don't know what is the
I would- I would be-
I'm fine with either, yes.
I mean, my understanding was that so far votes have been on mailing lists. That's how votes have been performed previously. I would be okay with doing a public vote, but I understand that people don't necessarily are comfortable with. I know that CNCF has mechanisms to do secret votes if that's something we want to take advantage of. Yeah.
I think if anybody wants to do a private vote, we should do a private vote. I think they use civvies or something like that.
Yes.
And that should be fine.
yeah. But should we vote on the term thing? I mean, that's like separate.
I think that's probably separate. I'm not sure how many changes we should be doing at once. I feel like I myself, I would like to do the distinction between chair and tech lead. And the question is now how, and if people agree with this, or maybe we need to do a vote on that even, I don't know. But if people agree with that, then we need to figure out who fills those roles, right?
Well, I mean, I don't think it's that hard, right? Because like technically you are chair and tech lead, and technically Piotr is chair and tech lead. And so if we don't have enough candidates, then basically you're just voting for the same person for both roles. That's just the de facto outcome, right?
Yeah, I guess that's true. So what are you proposing?
If we want to make that distinction, we should just do it.
I'm attempting to capture some of this in the minutes. I put in two separate suggestions. So one, and this is me suggesting it, we change our governance structure from having 2 chairs to having up to 2 chairs, up to 2 tech leads. And then as a separate suggestion from Han, term limit for chairs and tech leads.
There's a distinction between terms and term limits.
Okay, can you tell me what that is so I can reflect that better?
So terms means that periodically you would have to be reelected. Term limits means that there is a limit to the number of times that you could be reelected.
Okay.
I think a mandatory reelection is critical.
I think it's mandatory for us to have terms. I think term limits are discussable.
I don't remember ever having a vote.
No, we haven't, but I'm saying I believe we should have terms.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay, there we go. Yeah, okay, yeah. That's
another thing that we should probably clearly define is like that distinction between those 2 roles. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, one is like a manager and the other one is like a TL. I think that's.
It's defined.
If this is not clear enough in the governance doc that we linked to, then I'm open to defining it more precisely. But my understanding is it is documented there.
Yeah, it seems.
So Han, which one is like? What do you mean? One is like manager, one is like tech TL.
One does like more the operational things regarding the SIG, like.
And operational is who? TL or manager?
The chair.
Sure. I know, but like, is it's a manager or like TL?
The chair is the manager.
The chair is the manager.
Chair is the manager.
Yes.
Okay. So, okay. So it's at least like from my experience, like this is slightly different because usually the TL is like responsible for those like, day-to-day operations, like reviewing stuff, triaging issues, and, ensuring that the work is moving on. Whereas manager is more responsible for like, defining long-term strategy, maybe reviewing caps and so, etc. Yeah.
I think there's only one difference here, which is reviewing caps is more of a technical.
Yeah, as well. Yeah, so this falls under like, but anyway, like defining strategy is more under manager's plate, in my opinion. Whereas like, day-to-day operation is a TL one.
I think strategy is a thing that shouldn't happen.
Sorry, I'm confusing a little bit because what you are saying. So Han, you are saying that like when comparing to Google, you are saying that chair is a manager at Google?
It's not completely analogous, but
Okay.
it's not completely analogous. So there are things that you're thinking about that managers do at Google, which would not necessarily fall under a chair's responsibilities. Like a chair is almost more of like an administrative role.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. I think a chair within Kubernetes is primarily about running the day-to-day process things and making sure that the meetings happen and things like that.
Things are uploaded,
yeah.
and that SIG is represented when we have like multi-SIG meetings.
Okay.
And,
so like comparing to Google, it's more like TPM role.
Kind of like a TPM role, yeah.
Okay, I see. Makes sense then.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, for obvious reasons, not everybody likes to do it, and that's why Lava Lab stepped down from it, and that's why Bede is now doing it for APM machinery.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So like probably it will be, if this is just an operational role, so my understanding was different. It's like in addition to like, running operation, it also means like ensuring that the work is moving on a daily basis, like, reviewing PRs, maybe, doing the stuff and so on. Yeah. Okay, but it makes sense to me. It makes sense to me now. So it's worth, I think it's worth to capture this discussion before making the work. Okay.
Okay. So I guess I'm still asking myself, like what we do moving forward now.
Okay, so there's two action items. Let's get the SIG membership things up to date. So please submit a PR and add yourself to the teams.yaml if you're not already on there. I will link it in the chat here.
So we should send them also a notification email so everyone is ready that is not on this meeting.
Yes, I do. I think that's correct.
There are a bunch of people on there that aren't active anymore, I guess, but that's up to them removing themselves, I guess, right?
I think we're supposed to prune it or something.
Yeah.
According to the charter.
I believe the rule is after 3 months of inactivity, we're free to prune members.
Yeah, so we have not seen any of these people
based on the past activity. Like
sorry, I couldn't catch that. There were multiple people talking.
Go ahead, Han.
If they haven't been in a meeting in 3 months, then we can delete them.
Okay.
I think we should do this like forward looking. So announce that, like,
I mean, that's part of our governance model. So
yeah, sure. But it's not a good experience to say like, we are introducing a new rule now and like we are applying this 3 months back. Yes. However,
it's not a new
no,
rule.
our governance model was decided many months ago.
Yeah, this is not a new rule.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
The changes obviously can be applied retrospectively. That I agree with. Okay. And then we need to decide how to fill those positions, right?
Sure, we can have a vote next week or next session.
So what I'd like to propose is probably like to have this kind of secret voting rather than the open one during this.
Okay.
And then we can do this offline. However, I think like the next step after like, revisiting the list of the members, we should come up with a reasonable responsibility split. Okay, like well-defined.
Yeah.
Do we also want to do for, because I think folks have been reaching out randomly about various candidates for the positions. Do we want to do nominations on the mailing list?
Sure.
I think that makes sense.
That makes sense.
And then people have to formally accept so they don't, get stuck in a position that they don't want.
I think
Yes.
I think that also makes sense.
Yes.
And it's probably we need to have a kind of mechanism to verify those nominations somehow, whether it's like a reasonable nomination.
I mean, that's already taken care of by voting, no?
Okay.
Like, but our governance also states that it does take supermajority, but with supermajority vote, we can remove chairs even. So, like, all of this is actually covered by governance.
Okay. Sounds good. I was just thinking about something like if you want to become a Kubernetes maintainer, you need to, like, there are some rules. You need to contribute with this and this and this. Yes.
I think people will take that into account. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. I mean, I find it hard to believe that
maybe this is an artificial problem. Yes, and
yeah, people eligible for vote or for like have to be part of this group anyways, right? So, yeah, I wouldn't overcomplicate it. I think, or I don't think we need to overcomplicate it because the people who are voting for someone in this group anyway. So, yeah.
Yeah. David just suggested we make Lava Lamp the new chair.
If he wants to.
I think it would be funny.
You should nominate him on the mailing list.
Yeah, maybe we.
Yeah, I do think we should probably keep the changes to the governance, in particular the terms. We should probably do you think we should do that separately
afterwards? Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should do that afterwards.
But yeah, I think that makes sense.
And essentially, we can then use at that point current chairs and tech leads as the bootstrapping committee for that. And yeah, okay. I think I now have a good understanding of what we're going to do going forward. Does everybody else feel equally comfortable? Okay, I will figure out how to do the voting with the CNCF. We've used this mechanism a couple of times before. So
I think like just Google Forms can be also a reasonable way of doing this.
I think since the CNCF has like
yeah, sure. If this works, this is good. But if you need to spend like 2 hours on this, it's probably worth to just use Google Forms.
I'll do a quick investigation and see
yeah,
how
sure.
complicated it is.
This is probably why Frederick doesn't want to be a chair anymore.
Okay, yeah, and then we'll do nominations on the mailing list. Yeah, that's probably the first thing we need to do. We need to do nominations. People need to accept nominations, and then we'll kick off the vote. Okay. Okay, thanks everyone. This is the only topic I think we have for today. So in that case, I'll give everyone 3 minutes of their time back, and see you next time. Sorry?
Code freeze.
Code freeze is coming up. That is correct.
2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
March 5th.
Yeah, just FYI.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for reminding everyone. Okay. In that case, have a wonderful local time and see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks all.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Thank you very much. It was a great discussion. Bye.
Bye.